My sister's son flushed my diamond wedding rings and now she's taking me to court. She laughed, offered plastic replacements, told me to relax. But my fiancé's reaction changed everything. You know, there are moments in life that just snap you awake. For me, it wasn't watching my engagement ring disappear down a grimy restaurant drain the night before my wedding. It was the sound of my own sister's laugh, chilling and carefree, as she filmed the whole agonizing mess. That sound, that betrayal, felt like the match dropped in old, dry straw, and that night, my entire world and my family went up in flames. My name's Mara. I'm 31, and for most of my life, I've been the responsible one. The oldest of three, the one who remembers every birthday, ponies up deposits for family trips, and keeps a color-coded spreadsheet for anything that could spiral. I work in accounting. I don't drink much, I don't gamble, and my idea of wild is buying the fancy paper towels. I'm the person everyone texts when they need a quick favor, which, let's be honest, always means money or time, or both. Last month, the night before my wedding, we had the rehearsal dinner. Aaron, my fiancé, picked this mid-priced Italian place. Red napkins, string lights, the whole vibe. But what I remember most was this little brass drain in the middle of the floor by the host stand. I'd never noticed it before, but that night, it was all I could see. Then my sister Tessa's voice cut through the air. Relax, Mara. They're just circles. Try plastic if you're going to be such a snob. She said it like she was helping. Said it loud enough for our mother to hear, loud enough for the servers to pretend they didn't. I'd taken my rings off for maybe 30 seconds. 30. My beautiful engagement diamond with its slim pave band, and the wedding band we were blessing after dessert. I'd set them on a folded napkin to fix my nephew Milo's ketchup disaster. Milo, my sister Tessa's son, he's 7. A fast 7. The kind who moves like a raccoon at 3 a.m., all hands and mischievous curiosity. Tessa, meanwhile, was busy recording an Instagram story, practice dinner but make it fashion. Milo picked up the napkin. He peeked. Then, clear as a bell, in that unfiltered kid voice that can just slice you, he chirped, "These are ugly." I felt the room slow down. My mouth opened, but no words came out. Aaron, bless him, was already standing, reaching. Milo took a step toward that little brass drain, like he'd just discovered a wishing well. Milo, no. I remember saying. And Tessa laughed. Oh my God, don't be so dramatic. They're fake. A clink. Another. A hollow echo. Then, the softest sound, like a breath going somewhere I couldn't follow. Milo, Aaron's voice went low, "Come. Where did you put them?" "In there," he chirped, smiling, because Tessa was smiling, and the phone in her hand still had the tiny red recording light blinking. I dropped to my knees on the cold tile, in a dress I'd bought for something nice but not too nice. I lifted the grate. My thumb slipped. Grease. Soap film shadows. "They'll get them out," Tessa said, already bored. "It's a restaurant. They have tools." She turned to me. "You're being weird. Chill. If you're going to freak out about jewelry, you shouldn't leave it lying around." "Apologize," Aaron said to her. Not loud. Firm. Right now. Tessa's smile sharpened. To who? The drain? I looked up at her. At her phone. At my mother, doing that tight-lipped frown she uses instead of choosing a side. At the waiter hovering with a pitcher of water and eyes that screamed, "Please don't cry." My hands were shaking. The napkin lay open, empty. "Say you're sorry," I repeated, but my mouth tasted like metal. And that's when Tessa delivered the line that just burned a groove into the night. "God, Mara, if it's that deep for you, I'll Amazon some plastic ones. Prime. They'll be here by morning. You can cosplay married." Aaron knelt beside me, his palm flat on the tile, eyes already tracking where the pipes ran. He took a breath, long and steady, like he was making a ledger in his head. He looked at me, not the drain. "We're going to fix this," he said. Like it was a fact. I nodded because I needed one. Behind us, Tessa laughed again, like this was just content for her next story. Seriously, she said, waving her phone. You're embarrassing yourself. I put the grate back because my hands wouldn't stop sliding. I stood. Everyone watched me like I was about to choose whether to set the room on fire or swallow it whole. I didn't do either. I smiled so hard my gums ached and said, "Let's eat." And we did. With a hole in the floor and a bigger one in my chest. And that was the last calm thing that happened for a while. Here's the part where you understand why that laugh felt like a match dropped in old, dry straw. I've been the family safety net since I landed my first real job at 22. It started small. Can you spot me until Friday? From Tessa when she'd accidentally overdraft. We're short on rent, from Mom when Dad's hours got cut. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I was lucky, and if you're lucky, you help. I paid Tessa's traffic ticket because she swore she'd lose her license. I co-signed her first apartment, because it'll boost my credit too, she'd said, like it was a team sport. When she had Milo, I bought the crib, the stroller, half of Target, because she cried in the baby aisle and I just couldn't stand it. She has a gift for making her mess feel like your emergency. Mom calls it Tessa Sparkle. Dad calls it bad luck. I call it bills. Every time I tried to set a boundary, the script would start, "You're the oldest, Mara. You're responsible. You chose accounting, you like money, you can always make more. Family doesn't nickel and dime family. Don't be selfish. He's just a kid. Don't make everything about you." Meanwhile, nobody noticed the ways I kept shrinking to fit around them. I delayed grad school. I stayed in a too-small apartment with a neighbor who practiced trumpet at 11 p.m., because it was cheap and close to Mom. I learned which utilities charge the lowest late fees and how long you can float a balance before they get mean. When Aaron and I got engaged, I made spreadsheets for the wedding. Savings, vendors, a wish versus reality tab I color-coded in gentle greens so my anxiety wouldn't flare. We picked modest. Chose a venue with chairs included. Got flowers from a friend who owed me a favor. The rings, though? That's where we didn't compromise. I'd inherited a little from Grandma, not money, but 2 tiny diamonds she wore on a brooch. The stones weren't huge, but they were ours. I put them toward my engagement ring and the wedding band, a clean channel setting I loved because it was quiet and bright at the same time. I added insurance like a responsible adult and filed the appraisal in a folder labeled important. I paid the premiums myself because I didn't want anyone to say I'd asked them for anything. Tessa didn't congratulate us so much as she critiqued our choices. Who does a Friday wedding? Why aren't you doing open bar? If you want the reception to be fun, you should hire a photo booth. Those are cute. Every suggestion was a price tag with a sharpened edge. Mom's favorite line returned, "You're the one with a good job." As if good meant bottomless. 2 months before the wedding, Tessa called me crying because her car had died. Translation, she'd ignored the oil light for 3 weeks. I paid half the repair because the babysitter needed a ride. A week later, she asked if Milo could be ring bearer. We said yes. I bought him a small suit from a discount rack and felt dumbly proud of the way he squinted at himself in the mirror like he was seeing a future where he took care of things. I wanted it to be good for all of us. I wanted the story to finally be, we showed up. Then the rehearsal dinner happened. The second the rings went down that drain, Tessa's tone changed from breezy to bored. "They're insured, right?" she said, like that settled it. As if insurance is magic. As if deductibles don't exist. As if we'll replace them meant no harm, no foul. She leaned back in her chair and told Milo to say sorry. He mumbled some syllables. She filmed him pouting. Caption, "Boys will be boys." I went to the owner, Matteo, to ask about the drain. He was kind. "We close at 10, he said. "The traps are accessible, but I need my plumber. I can call him." He added gently, "These pipes are old. Don't stick your hands in there." Aaron squeezed my hand. "We'll do whatever you need," he told Matteo. "We'll pay for it." Tessa sighed loudly. So dramatic. Honestly, Mara, you should be mad at yourself. You left them out. Basic. Mom nodded like it was a sermon. She's not wrong. You can't blame a child. I stared at them, feeling this yawning space open behind my ribs. I thought about every Zelle transfer. Every just this once. Every time I'd chosen quiet over dignity because I didn't want a scene. I thought about how many times Tessa had broken something that didn't belong to her, a borrowed sweater, my blender, trust, and laughed it off like gravity was persecuting her personally. The check came. I reached for it. Tessa posted a boomerang of clinking glasses with the caption, "Pre-wedding chaos. Send vibes." Aaron didn't clink, by the way. He didn't drink. He watched the drain like it had a heartbeat. We went home with a plan to meet the plumber in the morning. Tessa texted me a link to fun wedding bands under $20 with a winky face. Mom texted, "Please don't ruin tomorrow." I lay awake listening to the apartment heat click on and off. Replaying Milo's voice. These are ugly. Somewhere after midnight, something in me stopped asking for a better version of the people I already had. Morning came with that stomach drop feeling you get before a dentist drill. Aaron was up before me. Phone in hand, shoes on. He kissed my forehead. Coffee's on. 10 minutes and we go. At 8:05 a.m., Mateo opened the restaurant early. The plumber, a guy named Luis with kind eyes and boots older than Milo, pulled the trap. Grease. Gray water. A hair tie. A penny. Everyone breathed wrong when the first ring didn't appear. Then Aaron did the thing I will remember until I die. He rolled up his sleeves, reached into the black sludge bowl Luis had set down, and sifted. Slow and patient, like panning a river. He didn't flinch. He didn't look at Tessa's texts lighting up my phone, "Found your plastic?" He just kept looking with a faith I didn't have in that moment. "I've got something," he said. Finally, he rinsed. He held up the wedding band. The plain one. Bent. Scratched. But ours. Everyone cheered like we'd pulled a person from a collapsed building. I cried ugly, relieved tears while Luis said there could be more in the main line, but it would take a camera and time and a bigger invoice. Tessa posted an Instagram of her mimosa. "Congrats on your little rescue," she wrote in the family chat. "Now, can we get back to not making everything about your stuff?" That was the spark on the straw, and the wind was coming. I didn't yell. I've yelled before. It doesn't work on people who treat your anger like a show. I did it differently. I typed in the family group chat, where Tessa lives like it's her real address. "Here's what's going to happen," I wrote. At noon, Aaron and I are filing a police report for property damage. At 1 p.m., we're contacting the insurance company with the report number, the appraisal, and the video Tessa took of Milo dropping the rings. At 2 p.m., we're sending Tessa an invoice for the deductible and plumber costs. After that, any communication goes through email. 3 dots. Then Tessa, LOL. You're not actually doing paperwork over a mistake. Mom, Mara, it was an accident. Don't ruin your wedding day. Me, I didn't ruin anything. I didn't record my nephew destroying family property and laugh. Tessa, it's a drain. Things go in drains. I better rings. Aaron took the phone from my hand, set it on the table, and pressed his palm to mine. "You don't owe them an argument," he said. "You owe yourself a line." At noon, we walked into the precinct with a printed appraisal, screenshots of Tessa's story, and a timeline. I handed the officer the manila folder and said, "I'm not here to get a child in trouble. I'm here to document that an adult created a situation where a child damaged property." He nodded like he'd seen this exact movie before. "Good papers, your friend." We called insurance. The adjuster's voice went warm when she heard the phrases I'd organized in my notes: appraisal on file, incident report, video evidence, plumber invoice forthcoming. She explained the process and the deductible. She asked whether the engagement diamond had been recovered. It hadn't. She said kindly, "We'll take it from here." At 2 p.m., I emailed Tessa and CC'd Aaron and myself. Subject: rehearsal dinner incident costs and next steps. Body: matter of fact, no throat clearing. "No, I'm sorry, but..." She replied from the hair salon, "Apparently, I'm not paying for your princess meltdown. You should have held on to your toys. Don't email me again unless it's an apology." An hour later, right as I was pinning my hair and trying to remember how to breathe, my phone lit up with Mom. I let it ring. Then again. Then again. I answered on the fourth try because I knew if I didn't, she'd show up at the venue. "You're breaking your grandmother's heart," Mom started. "This is not who we are." "Who are we?" I asked. "People who tell a bride to buy plastic replacements because a 7-year-old flushed her rings while his mother filmed?" Silence. Then the maneuver I grew up with. "Your tone is very disrespectful." "I'm done paying for your comfort with my silence," I said. Aaron squeezed my shoulder. I put Mom on speaker. "Here's what's real," I continued. "I've paid for your emergencies for 10 years. I've covered Tessa more times than I can count. I asked for nothing back. Today, I'm asking for accountability. I'm not going to absorb more debt so Tessa can laugh at consequences." Mom's voice went cold. "You are heartless." Aaron spoke for the first time. "No," he said, calm as a bank vault. "She's finally being fair. We got married that evening with one ring. The bent band Luis rescued, and a plain gold stand-in the jeweler rushed for us. Aaron slid the rescued band onto my finger first, kissed my hand, and whispered, 'We'll tell our kids this story and laugh, but not today.' After the ceremony, during dessert, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I didn't answer. A voicemail transcribed itself on my screen. "Anyway, this is an officer calling regarding a disturbance at your mother's home. Please call back." I stepped outside. The sky was purple and noisy. I called. The officer said everything was fine, but there'd been a loud argument about ring drama, and my sister had said I was harassing her with legal threats. "I sent an invoice," I said. "That's not a crime," he said, almost amused. "Thank you," I said. That's what I thought. I went back inside, kissed my husband, and danced like my bones needed it, because they did. At 9 a.m. the next morning, Tessa served me with a texted PDF of a small claims filing titled Tessa M.V. Mara S., Emotional Distress and Defamation. I laughed then, sharp and tired. She'd attached screenshots of my email, a blurry photo of me kneeling by a drain, public humiliation, and a caption from someone else's story where I'm making the face you make when your life takes a left turn in public. She wrote, "My sister caused me crippling stress the day before her wedding. I suffered migraines." She wanted $5,000 for migraines. Aaron read it and said, "Okay, let's answer it." And we did. If you've never had a family member sue you, here's a fun fact: it turns every chat thread into a crime scene. Cousin Chloe wrote, "Can you guys not involve the courts? It's tacky." Aunt Lena added, "You're sisters." Uncle Dean said nothing, then texted me privately, "Do you need a good plumber?" Like we were trading baseball cards, not war stories. Mom sent a single line, "You're killing this family." I kept my replies the size of a receipt, all communication by email, please. It felt like disinfecting a wound. It stung. Then it was cleaner. Insurance moved like a glacier, but in the right direction. The adjuster requested the police report. The plumber's camera footage, which Luis provided, my engagement diamond visible for one single shining frame before the line angled and the stone disappeared into a main pipe like a coin into a throat. The Instagram videos and screenshots of Tessa's plastic replacements message. I sent everything with date stamps, file names like a librarian, and a short cover note. She wrote back, "Thank you for being organized. This will help." Aaron handled the small claims response. He isn't a lawyer, but he reads everything twice and then reads the footnotes. He filed a counterclaim for the deductible and the plumber's full invoice. He included the video of Tessa recording and laughing while Milo did it. He attached the text where she called the rings toys. He kept it factual. No sauce. Judges like food without sauce. Meanwhile, the social hurricane spun. Tessa posted PSA, beware of brides who weaponize paperwork, with a selfie of her holding a heating pad to her forehead. Commenters sent heart emojis. Someone wrote, sisters before rings. She pinned it. I didn't respond. I started muting. It felt like turning off fluorescent lights in a room where you've been trying to sleep. 2 days later, Mom called Aaron. Not me. He answered. Sweet Aaron, you're logical, she began. Can't you talk Mara down? Tessa is not sleeping. I'm not her handler, he said. I'm her husband. If you want to help, ask Tessa to apologize and pay the invoice. She can't, Mom said. Money is tight. So is empathy, Aaron said, and hung up. Which is the second unforgettable thing he did. Not because it was cruel, because it was clean. No speech, no lecture, just no. A week passed. The insurer approved a partial payout pending recovery attempts. That meant they'd cut a check minus the deductible, then chase the plumber's Hail Mary camera plan with their people. It also meant the deductible, $2,000, was firmly ours unless Tessa paid. We could swing it. We shouldn't have to. In the group chat, the narrative mutated like a virus. Now it was, Mara is punishing a child. Then, she set Milo up to fail by leaving shiny objects out. Then, she's jealous Tessa has a free spirit. I screenshotted none of it because I didn't need to gather pain like stamps anymore. On a practical level, I started closing accounts. Not bank, but favors. No more can you watch Milo, texts answered with yes. If Tessa asked, I said, I'm not available. No more can you add my phone to your family plan? You get a discount. The plan stayed mine and Aaron's. No more can you front me? The word no got easier in my mouth every time I used it. Not bitter. Just firm. On the day of the hearing, we arrived in shoes that didn't squeak and a folder that sat flat, because nothing inside it wriggled. Tessa arrived late in a sweatshirt that said, chaotic good. She looked at me like we were strangers on a bus. I guess we were. The judge asked for opening statements. Tessa went first. She said words like trauma and harassment and public shaming, and cried at the end, the delicate kind that photographs well. The judge didn't blink. Our turn. Aaron stood. He wasn't dramatic. He explained the facts in order. He referenced exhibits. He said, we are not seeking to punish a child. We are asking the adult who laughed while filming to share the cost of the consequences she made possible. He played the clip, the one Tessa had posted, and the room went the specific kind of quiet that happens when everyone hears what they heard and nobody can pretend they didn't. Milo's little voice, the clink, Tessa's laugh, try plastic. Tessa's attorney, a friend of a friend who clearly owed her a favor, objected to the tone of our evidence. The judge said, overruled. The video speaks for itself. Then she looked at Tessa. Ma'am, did you encourage your son to handle the rings? I didn't encourage, Tessa said. I didn't discourage. It all happened so fast. Did you tell your sister to try plastic? Tessa paused. It was a joke. Noted, the judge said in the tone of a person noting where a leak is. She ruled like a calculator. Tessa's claim denied. Our counterclaim granted. Amount, full plumber invoice plus deductible, payable in 30 days. The judge added, if you believe you were defamed for being asked to share responsibility, you misunderstand defamation. We left the courtroom into sun so bright I had to squint. Aaron put his arm around me. Breathe, he said. I did. It tasted like the first real breath I'd taken in weeks. That night, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. She left 3 messages. An angry one, how could you humiliate your sister? A soft one, I know you're hurt, sweetheart. And a practical one: can we work out a payment plan? The pivot, like a weather vane. Tessa texted exactly once, "You're disgusting." Then she requested $20 on Venmo with the note for emotional labor. I laughed for a full minute, then blocked her. Here's the part nobody tells you: after you enforce a boundary, you feel lighter and lonelier. It's both. The silence buzzes. The old patterns keep knocking on the door of your head like salesmen you used to invite in because you were too polite to close it. I filled the new space with small, good things. I cooked pasta with cherry tomatoes until the kitchen smelled like a hug. I organized a drawer that had been trying to kill me for years. I took off the bent wedding band at night and traced the scratch that ran down one side like a scar. And I liked it. Because it was proof that something precious went through a bad thing and stayed itself. And slowly, people shifted. Cousin Chloe DM'd me a week later. I watched the video again. I'm sorry I piled on. Aunt Lena sent a plant with a note that said, "For your new home ecosystem." Uncle Dean emailed a real apology. Not for the lawsuit, he had nothing to do with that. For not speaking up when it would have mattered. It mattered now anyway. The best message came from someone I didn't expect. Our father. He's always been quiet in the family mess, drowning his discomfort in projects in the garage. He wrote, "I should have stopped Tessie years ago. I didn't. That's on me. If you'll have me, I'd like to make this right by paying what the court ordered." He did. On time. With a note in the memo, "For my daughter's dignity." I cried over that one, not because of the money, but because he named the thing. 2 weeks later, insurance finalized the claim. The replacement quote arrived. I didn't want new. I wanted what we had. The jeweler examined the rescued band, straightened it like a chiropractor, set one of Grandma's tiny side stones we'd kept aside into a safe, subtle place, and polished the scratches until they were soft, not gone. When I slid it back on, it felt like home. Not the house you grew up in, because that place belongs to everyone. The kind you earn, room by room. I keep trying to find a clever way to end this, but life rarely sticks the landing for you. You just decide the landing is here. Here's my landing. I'm not the family bank anymore. I'm not the one who fixes their fires at cost to my own roof. I'm the person who sends invoices, follows up, and doesn't apologize for refusing to be used. I didn't cut everyone off. I cut off the behavior. If someone shows up with respect, I open the door. If they show up with relax, try plastic, they can try the neighbor. I don't hate my nephew. He's 7. His mother made a game out of a boundary and he played along. When he's older, if he wants to know the truth, I'll show him the scar on my ring and tell him what it cost for me to learn to say no out loud. Aaron's unforgettable thing wasn't just his arm and a bowl of sludge. It was how he stood beside me without asking me to be smaller so the room could stay comfortable. He looked at the mess, then at me, and chose us. Sometimes love is soft words. Sometimes it's a steady hand on a line you finally drew. Tessa still posts. Of course she does. The algorithm is her altar. There are entire weeks when I don't think about her at all. Then a memory taps me on the shoulder. Her laugh by the drain. My mother's "Don't ruin tomorrow." The chill of tile under my knees. The memory doesn't hurt like it did. It's just information now. A map of how I got here. If you're watching this because your family taught you that your wallet is your worth or that being the responsible one means you are a resource, here's the moral I wish someone had handed me years ago, printed on something you can't crumple: love isn't a tab. Kindness isn't an open line of credit. Boundaries are not cruelty. They're the price of having a self. My ring is a little crooked if you look closely. Good. So am I: bent, not broken, paid for, not owed. And when I hear laughter now, I check where it's aimed. If it's at me for keeping what's mine safe, I let it pass through like water through a pipe that doesn't keep anyone else's trash anymore.